Every 4 years, multiple countries around the globe compete in what is arguably the largest football tournament available, the FIFA World Cup. And for the first time in its history, it's being hosted in 3 different countries at once: Canada, the United States, and Mexico, or for short, CUP. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the response to this year's World Cup and how it's being met with a lot of different emotions, with many people pointing out how FIFA is apparently ridden with corruption. Not too far off from the truth. A big talking point about this year's World Cup is how unapologetic FIFA is being when it comes to their greed this time around. More specifically, with the ridiculous ticket pricing. Tickets this time around are so expensive and unobtainable, you could sell every single one of your organs on the black market, and even then you won't be able to afford a ticket. If this year you're expecting to see a team play, the very minimum you're gonna have to pay per ticket is $450. Whoa there, cowboy. That's quite a bit of money. But hey, with $450, at least you're going to be getting a pretty good seat, right? No, you're going to be sitting in nosebleeds, which is all the way at the back of the stadium, so you're barely even going to be able to see anything. The players are going to look like fucking ants running around on a little patch of grass. You'd probably have more fun twiddling your thumbs or doing your taxes. Keep in mind, that's the absolute cheapest ticket you're gonna find, if you're lucky, if they haven't already sold out by now. On average, the ticket price is $1,190. What the why? If I'm paying over $1,000 for a ticket to a FIFA World Cup game, I better be sitting on the bench with my hand around Ronaldo giggling. And even after that, dropping a cold hard band, your seats are probably still going to be garbage. One of the reasons that tickets for this World Cup are so expensive in comparison to the last one, or really any tournament that's been held in the past, is because for the first time in history, FIFA is using what's called dynamic pricing. Basically what this means is, instead of there being a set fixed price on tickets like there have been in the past, like a ticket at $50, $100, or $200, no. This time, FIFA decided to make it different so that the price of tickets will fluctuate based on the demand of said game, meaning that no price is ever going to stay the same. They're not even like trying to hide their cartoonishly evil greed at this point anymore. They're doing about just as good of a job hiding that as like a guy's intentions when he says he's solo traveling to Thailand alone. Ticket prices at this point are so unbelievably inflated that it is cheaper for somebody to fly from America to England, spend 2 weeks in England, and then back home than to simply watch an England game in their own hometown. While we're on the topic of England, a guy from there is set to sell his house so he can actually attend this year's World Cup. Bro, when the are sports ever that serious that you decide you have to sell your entire house in order to just attend a single game? Bro, you're gonna be witnessing the 2030 World Cup under a bridge inside of a cardboard box. Yo, I know I said it a bunch of times already, right? But I'm gonna say it again, so hear me out. I have a feeling deep down, rumbling within my gut, that despite selling his house to attend this game, he was still getting some boof-ass seat way in the back. I don't know, man. It kind of sucks because I originally wanted to go to a different World Cup game in Canada, the United States, and Mexico. I wanted to attend a game in each different country. I just thought that that was a once-in-a-lifetime experience, but it's practically unobtainable because in order to do that, I have to take out like a $200,000 loan from some Italian mob in New Jersey. Listen, man, I've already seen The Sopranos. It's not worth it to do that, all to see a bunch of grown men kick a ball around. Now, I would do it to see a bunch of grown men's ball. It just kind of sucks because it feels like the ridiculous ticket pricing is so high, and it's practically made this FIFA World Cup unobtainable to people who aren't, you know, like billionaires, politicians, or obnoxious influencers. But then even when politicians do show up to the games, these motherfuckers aren't even paying one lick of attention. They're sitting there with their eyes closed, dreaming about, I don't know, pressing the nuclear button. Maybe one day a game ticket is going to be $1,000, and then 2 hours later, FIFA's going to tell you to f yourself and make the price $5,000. And yet paying that much money is still considered on the lower end of what you're expected to pay, mostly because some of the worst people on the planet, the most diabolical and slimy individuals, have gotten their grubby little paws onto World Cup tickets. Of course, talking about no one else other than resellers. Ooh. Because these slimy, unlovable dweebs couldn't just stick to reselling Pokemon cards and Jordans. No, they had to weasel their way into the ticket market. These soupy-brained imbeciles somehow found a way to inflate the prices even higher than what FIFA already did to begin with. Some tickets are being resold for hundreds of thousands, and in some cases, millions of dollars. $1.6 million. The very least you can do is tell me who Canada is playing against. But no, you got a placeholder to be decided. You're not even gonna tell me who? I get it, it's in the future. You can't tell me who's gonna advance and play against them. But at the same time, I'm paying $1.6 million. Yo, build me a time machine or something. The thing that pisses me off the most is FIFA as an organization, and mainly the CEO, Gianni Infantino, who's like this little bald gremlin. This guy looks like the Austin Powers villain. This dude does nothing but LARP and say that he's trying to unite the entirety of the world through the power of football and how he loves the sport so much.
Today I feel gay.
He's gonna continue to sit there on his little high horse and say football is for everybody, no matter what. But then at the same time, he's gonna make it virtually impossible for someone to attend a game unless they can shell out a minimum of $3,000. Another super frustrating part about this entire thing is when you're sitting down and watching the games on your TV, you notice, hey, that's strange. The stadiums look a little bit more empty than usual. Either the fucking invisible man is preoccupying these seats or they're just going completely unsold, which is just a huge waste because nobody can afford it. This guy, I can't stand him, and also resellers. Get a job. Believe it or not, there's another issue ongoing that actually doesn't have anything to do with FIFA, but it more relies on the actual governments of the countries. If you've been paying any attention to US news lately, you may notice that one of their new stances is that they've gotten a lot stricter with immigration and controlling who comes in and out of the country. Obviously, with this being the case, tensions are a little bit high. Now, I don't think you need to be a rocket scientist, super mega Einstein genius to figure out maybe this has the potential to cause some problems later down the line because the United States is the main host country for this year's tournament, and that is exactly what happened. A lot of fans are being denied entry into the United States because of these stricter policies, but most surprisingly is it's not just limited to people who are trying to go on a vacation and watch a game. Nope, various team officials as well as family members of the athletes playing have faced many difficulties, including 34-year-old referee Omar Artan, who was interrogated for 11 hours at a Miami airport by U.S. immigration authorities and was effectively denied entry, barred, sent to the shadow realm. Listen, dude, it's not like this was just some random Joe Schmo who decided to walk into a Foot Locker and steal one of their uniforms. No, this is not only a referee who is recognized as Africa's #1 and most respectable ref, but he was also officially appointed by FIFA to participate in this tournament. Also, he has a diplomatic passport officially appointed to him by the Somali government. This guy very clearly had, his shit put together and all the qualifications, yet he was still denied entry due to alleged association with suspected members of terror organizations. Also, this dude, Gianni Infantino, the president of FIFA, is like up nuzzling against the ball sack of the president of the United States. You're telling me this guy wasn't able to pull some strings to make this work out? I heard somebody make the point about the 2022 World Cup being hosted in Qatar and all the controversy. That's all true. At least these motherfuckers let people in. God damn. I was originally going to post this video like 2 weeks ago, but then as I was finalizing everything, I noticed some discourse online about the referees and the way they're running things this World Cup. Whether that be the bad calls, and trust me, there have been some horrendous calls, like how despite Paraguay entering the arena to play against France, they were treating it like a WWE match, pushing and shoving the players the entire time. They didn't get booked one time. In fact, France players got booked multiple times. What the And more specifically, and most notably, the repeated accusations from spectators and teams themselves saying that there is a noticeable bias towards Argentina. A big source of controversy has been their most recent game against Egypt, which as of recording happened like 3 days ago. Basically, in a nutshell, Egypt was beating Argentina. They scored 3 goals. However, the third one was disallowed because of a foul. Later, Argentina then catches up, tying the game, eventually scoring a third winning goal. However, theirs, despite committing what seemed to be a foul, was not disallowed. Listen, man, admittedly, it is pretty sketchy how they only checked Egypt's goal and not Argentina's, but at the same time, goddamn Egypt, how do you manage to choke a 2-0 lead with 15 minutes left? It's like all of their defenders just miraculously decided, nah, bro, game's over. Dude, take a look at the clock. It's still going. After the match, during some post-game interviews, players and team officials on the Egyptian side were saying how very clearly it was rigged and refs had already chosen a side. For the most part, this is based off of calls coming from referees, and again, to be fair, this is something that happens with literally every other sport. People saying that refs are intentionally making bad calls and have a side chosen. And while this very well could be fake, it could also be very real. Speculations of there being favoritism with FIFA, the referees in Argentina, is probably the least worrisome thing. iShowSpeed has been streaming pretty much every single game that he can, and he's attended a couple different Argentina ones, and each time Argentina has beat them, he's received racist insults and had racial slurs thrown at him coming from people in the stands. Thankfully, as of recording this, it is something that FIFA is doing an active investigation on. Even the most recent Egypt game, where fans cheering for said teams are getting things like drinks thrown at them. You have to be such a loser to ever have to resort to racism, especially when it's something as stupid as a sports game. This isn't something exclusive to the fans. Players themselves, part of the current Argentine squad, have been put in the spotlight for past racist behavior. For example, after winning the 2024 Copa America, Enzo Fernandez, one of the starters for the current squad, thought it would be a phenomenal idea, truly galaxy brain, to broadcast himself and many of his teammates singing a racist chant where they mock some of the French national team players. Following this, not only did the FFF, French Football Federation, file a formal complaint to FIFA, but several of his Chelsea teammates unfollowed him on social media and publicly called it out as uninhibited racism. As shitty as it is, this isn't new ground. A senator from Paraguay's liberal radical party, Celeste Amarillo, went on her own social media voluntarily and called Kylian Mbappe arrogant, ugly, as well as other disgusting comments. Mbappe himself made a direct response to her, calling her a despicable woman who is unworthy of her position, and said that her brazen racist comments has already made the entire world forget about the journey that Paraguay made in the World Cup. The way that she responds to him after he calls her out for being blatantly just a terrible person, she threatens him with a lawsuit for gender-based violence. Go f*** yourself. Okay, never mind. There's been like what's essentially cheating this World Cup. A player on the American team got sent off the pitch with a red card, and when this happens, you're supposed to be suspended for the following match. However, the president himself got word and said, no, this cannot be. So he managed to do some little talking to with FIFA and somehow got the suspension reversed. Great, man. So just straight corruption. Awesome. Amazing. I'm not gonna pretend like it's all bad, because the World Cup is one of my favorite sporting events. I've been watching it since I was a kid. I love this sport so much. I keep up with it pretty regularly. But more importantly, I just love seeing all the different people coming around the world to Canada, America, Mexico, and experiencing the culture for the first time. Because, you know, what's normal to me is completely foreign to other people. And it's just so heartwarming seeing everybody just open their hearts out for each other. And I don't know, man, like, how can you not get excited watching a video of some guy from the UK going to Walmart for the first time and being impressed? How do you not get a smile watching a guy from Japan try Texas barbecue for the first time and just have his mind blown at the fact that this giant slab of meat is the size of his head? It's also just so fun seeing people go to Costco and treat it like it's a museum, or just celebrating games together. In New York, Brazilian fans and Knicks fans were having the times of their lives. This isn't just stuff I'm pulling out of my ass. I was there partying with Brazilians in Times Square. Yes, that's right. I always knew the Knicks could do it. I've been a Knicks fan for about 6 weeks. Honestly, that's one of the reasons I haven't posted a video in, like, Jesus, for a really fucking long time. And that's because I've been in Europe for the past little bit. Well, I'm not anymore. I've been home. But I was there, and I was lucky enough to be able to watch World Cups with people from all these different countries, get to know them, talk to them. Human beings who were excited to share their culture with me, share their food with me, share their country's sport with me. And then I went back to the US and Canada, and I was so happy I was able to do the same thing for them because of all the tourists who are currently here for the World Cup. There's one thing I can take away from, you know, traveling and seeing the World Cup for myself. It doesn't matter where you come from, you know, even what governments are trying to tell you. People don't hate people. Unless if you're the person that stole my rental bike in Amsterdam and made me have to pay an embarrassing amount of money, and then in turn causing me to have to walk 4 miles home in the rain at 3 a.m. in an unfamiliar city with a phone that was at 1%. I don't like you. Fuck you. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to follow my Spotify, my Instagram, and my TikTok, and I will see you guys next week. Bye. These bitches want Nikes, yeah. R.I.P. Trayvon, that individual looked just like me, yeah. All they want is Nikes, but it ain't likely.